All right, so how many of you came here today by plane? Like you had to take a plane to get to this event? Okay, so most of us. Now I want to know, I'm curious, are you the person who gets to the airport 2 hours early? Or are you the person who rolls up to the gate like right as the plane's about to take off? Yeah, I'm the one that's 2 hours early. And I'm not early to anything, just ask my husband. But I am early to the airport, except the first time I ever had a speaking engagement. So for some reason, I was like off in my math of like what time I needed to get to the airport. By the time I even got there, I was already running super late. I parked, well, I almost couldn't park my car. I couldn't find a parking space anywhere, of course. I got into the airport, I checked my bag because I'm a bit of a risk taker, right? I got my bag checked, and I ran up to security, and that's when I saw it. A line that looked like a line you would see from Disneyland. Like the line was so long. So I walk up and I start to do that like zigzag thing, you know, that you do to get through the security line. And at this point, now I know you're probably silent judging me right now. And don't worry, I'm judging myself at this point because I'm thinking, why have I not gotten TSA pre-check yet? Like, what am I doing with my life? And so I'm yelling at myself. I pull out my paper boarding pass because I'm Gen X, and I feel like I'm a little skeptical of like having it on my phone. And I get my driver's license out. My shoes are like ready to kick off. And I walk, and I'm waiting, and that's when I see it. I see this guy out of the corner of my eye. He almost looks like a young, like Elvis Presley. He has like a wave to his hair, and he's walking over, and I notice he has a clear jacket on. And he comes in front of this huge line, and he starts shouting at the top of his lungs, "Hey, come get cleared. We'll get you through the line. It'll only take a minute." Now, if you're not familiar with what TSA Clear is, it's like a form of pre-check. So I'm looking at this guy, and I'm thinking, should I move? Like, should I go and get cleared? But then I'm looking at the security line, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, if I get out of this line, what happens if I can't get back in? And if I don't make my flight, I may not even make my speaking engagement. I'm flying from Sacramento to New Orleans. I have a connecting flight. It's a thing. And I'm freaking out. And if we think about it, on the surface, as a marketer, the Clear guy has everything that we want. He has a great product, right? There's no arguing that. He has an audience. He's not worried about lead gen. He has us all there. And not only does he have an audience, he has an audience of people who are his ideal client, right? He has an audience of people who need his service. He's not hacking the algorithm. And the last thing that he has that we all, probably when we think about that huge line, there's probably, I'm making some assumptions here, but I'm guessing there's a good handful of us that have the budget that could afford it. And so why didn't I get out of line as I almost fall. Why didn't I get out of the line that day? Why did no one else get out of the line that day? And it comes to 3 marketing truths. First of all, our brains are wired to resist the solution even when it's exactly what we need, even when we have the pain point, even when it's a logical purchase. Secondly, we're skeptical, right? We've heard a lot this weekend, or over the last 2 days. There's a trust recession going on. People need more time, more touch points than ever to make a sale. And lastly, if you wait too long to create desire, it might be too late. And I know this from firsthand experience. So when I started my business, I was a social media manager. It was like back in the days of like flat lays and these like beautiful curated. Remember the good old days of Instagram where you just had to like take a picture and throw it up, and it was super easy. And then I went and I very quickly pivoted to conversion copywriting. And as a copywriter, what we cared about was the sale, was the click. And what I noticed is that there is this time in between the awareness content, the nurture content, and the sales content, or this promotional, that I call consideration content. Now, what is consideration content? Consideration is just what it sounds like. It's when someone's considering if they want to buy from you. They're considering if they like you, if they trust you, if this is the pain point, the problem that they want to solve right now. And what I noticed is that too many businesses are trying to smush that consideration phase into the sales phase. And through my work, I discovered that if you pull out the consideration phase, you can turn it into anticipation. Because most people are waiting, they're waiting to the time of sale to generate interest in their product or service. And by then, it could be too late once again, right? You're just like the clear guy, you're trying to sell in the middle of chaos. But what can happen if you instead can use desire to drive your sales? Because when you can use anticipation, instead of being like the clear guy, waving your hands, trying to get people's attention, instead you have people pre-sold and coming to you. How many of you want that? Yes, okay, so let's talk about it. So what is anticipation? Well, the definition of anticipation is excitement, waiting eagerly for something to happen. That's what we want. And when you use anticipation marketing, as I've coined it, you're able to build excitement. You build buzz, you build FOMO. You create curiosity. You get people hooked in, engaged, interested. You also spark desire. You get people saying, ooh, I really want this, instead of, once again, feeling like the clear guy, like waving your hands, trying to feel like you're convincing someone, or that you're doing these marketing messages that no one's listening to. But the key here, and this is what we're going to talk a lot about today, is you're doing this all before your offer is available. Now, it's really important that I put this into like your role as a marketer. So I work primarily with coaches, course creators, memberships, one-on-one service providers, and a really particular part of the funnel. But anticipation marketing works no matter your industry, and this works with any promotion, campaign, launch, or event. And it doesn't mean that you have to be constantly launching something new. So if we think about Target, Target sells the same thing essentially all the time. They just do a promotion that gets you through the door. And it's not reliant on discounts. So let's take a look at Apple. Apple essentially sells the iPhone all the time. They just tweak a feature or two, and they get you lining up on the first day to buy a brand new $1,000 iPhone that you probably don't really need. So, and this is really important here, because you've gotten so many ideas over the last couple of days, and this is not about doing more marketing. This is about thinking about your marketing a little bit differently, because when you can figure out how to create desire that creates sales, all of a sudden you get people excited, coming to you, increasing your sales. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about today, which is, first of all, I'm going to tell you why anticipation is so important. I'm going to talk about how some big brands use anticipation, and then we're going to go into how they use it and how you can swipe it. Secondly, I'm going to give you 12 real-time strategies that you can start implementing today. And then last, I'm going to show you 3 mistakes that businesses make, because I don't want you doing the same thing when it comes to this special time in your marketing. Now, when we think about anticipation and desire, it's something that's out in the future. We can't quite get it yet. So the question I'm guessing you're probably thinking to yourself is, if I have something to sell, why wouldn't I sell it all the time? It's a great question. So what percentage of your audience do you think is ready to buy right this moment? How many of you think 30%? No? Okay. 20%? Okay. 10%. How many of you think that? How many of you wish it was 100%? I know I do, right? So the reality is, and this is according to Chet Holmes from the Ultimate Marketing Machine, 60% know they're not interested or don't think that they're interested. 30% aren't even thinking about it. 7% are open to it. So how much, who's good at math here? What does that leave us? 3%. 3% of your audience is ready to buy right now, which is why, when we think about it, 97% of your people aren't even paying attention to you. So this is why anticipation is so important in your marketing. Now let's look at how some of the big dogs do it. So my friend Sean, he is a Nike fanatic, as I call him. He's the guy, I think you run into him at Costco, and he's wearing like the Nike sweatshirt with the matching sweatpants with the shoes. And Nike does something with their Air Jordans. They have these exclusive Air Jordans come out, and I only know this because of Sean. Back in the day, what Sean would do is he would actually be like on his computer the moment these Air Jordans got released so that he could get a pair. What happens now, Nike has upped their ante, and they actually now have an app that you have to go and put yourself into a lottery to even be able to get these special Nikes. So think about the buzz that is going around to think, am I the person who's going to get my hands on these Nikes? Lego. So my brother Jared, his son wanted an Indiana Jones Lego set. My kids were never into Legos, but his are super into it. And there was a set, and he was supposed to go and grab it on Black Friday. He didn't. So he went and got his computer out Saturday morning, went to go buy this Lego set. He looks it up, and it's gone. It's gone. He can't find it anywhere. It's completely sold out. He starts looking around all over the internet, and he's able to find some. What people had done is they had bought these Lego sets, and they were reselling them on eBay. And at this point, they were being sold for hundreds of dollars of more than what he could have gotten it for in the store. Lego, another way they use anticipation, is actually just a couple weeks ago, they released this on a reel. They released Pikachu, hopefully I'm saying that right, his tail from Legos, from Pokemon. They released a little tail of his on a reel and talked about how they have a brand new Lego set coming out. Can you guess when that Lego set's coming out? 2026. They are talking about a Lego set that's not coming out for an entire year. And we cannot talk about anticipation marketing without talking, where's my Swifties in the room? Okay, so we cannot, Taylor Swift is a case study for anticipation marketing. If you look at what she's done, and Taylor's done okay, right? So I'm thinking we can take some hints from her. So I remember being on a call with one of my coaching clients, and her daughter runs into the room. This is like a few years ago. Runs into the room and is like, "Hey, Mom, did you sign up for it?" And I have no idea what she's talking about. She's like, "Oh, you have to be on this special list to be the first to know about Taylor, about her new Eras Tour tickets." Those tickets, what did they end up selling for? I mean, I think I saw someone try to sell them for $5,000 or $6,000 at one point on Facebook. It's because of the anticipation that Taylor grew from the very beginning. And her new album, I forget what it's called, but the something Poet Society. Thank you. So her new album, she announced it at the 2024 Grammys, letting you know it was coming. And the thing that these big businesses know, and I could give you example after example, the thing that they know is that with anticipation marketing, 4 things happen, at least. You increase desire, FOMO buzz. Look at Nike, Lego, Taylor, everyone is doing this. Secondly, you position your product as more valuable, you get more buyers, and in the end, you can slowly start increasing your prices. How many of you want this in your business? Okay, so let's talk about how you can start doing this. And I'm sure that's the question, this is nice for Taylor Swift, right? But how am I doing this for my small brand, my small business? Well, that's what we're gonna talk about right now. So there's 3 essential ingredients of anticipation marketing. The first one we're gonna talk about is countdown. That's building the buzz and excitement. Why is this so important? Well, first of all, you may not realize it, when you anticipate something, you get a little hit of dopamine. Think about when you bought your ticket to come to social media marketing world. Were you excited? Did you yes, I did it, right? You have this excitement that comes along with it. There's actual research, too, that shows that when you anticipate something, you value it more. The other thing about anticipation is when you anticipate something in the future, you get the same amount of pleasure that you get from actually getting that thing while you're waiting, if not more. And that's proven by studies as well. And last, and this is the way I think about things, is we're humans. And we all want a little bit of what we can't have. So the biggest mistake I see when it comes to this is people just don't give their clients and customers enough heads up as what's coming down in the future, coming down the pipeline. Like, I know for me, I'm a small business owner, and I get my head down, I'm working on stuff, that it's easy to forget to tell people, like, simply what's coming up, which leads us, and I'm gonna give you 12 strategies over the next several minutes, which is strategy number 1, is simply make an announcement. Louis Vuitton, this is from a little earlier in the year. They went out and talked about their spring and summer collection. I love Louis Vuitton. And Louis Vuitton does a beautiful job at this. And so do a lot of fashion brands. If we think about Fashion Week, it's simply a preview, an announcement of what's coming up in their next season. So think about how can you simply just make an announcement of what's coming up in the future. Secondly, ask for input. This is my student, Dr. Lauren Brunklick. She's actually at this event, and she was getting ready to launch a new membership, and she started to ask this is an Instagram story, she started to ask, like, what kind of trainings do you want in this membership? Now, I'm going to stop for a minute here and pause, is with all of these, I'm going to show you reels, podcast interviews, email. So you can be doing this. Right now we're looking at a lot of Instagram, but you can be doing this on all your marketing channels. So what I love about asking for input, this is a way to sell without selling. When you can get community buy-in, and when people also, like, I don't know about you, but I kind of like being a little bossy. I kind of like giving people my advice. This is how your community is. So how can you get more community involvement? By just asking them ahead of time, what do you think? Strategy number 3, build hype, right? So think about how you can go out and start building your own hype. But not only that, how can you start getting your colleagues, your friends, different channels? If you're more local, maybe it's a press release, maybe it's news, maybe it is, I know my parents own a publication, like where you could go in and ask for local hype, local things like that. How can you start looking for ways that you're not only building your own hype, which of course we all want to do, but how can you start getting people to build hype for you? So this example here that we're looking at, Nash Today, they were talking about dirty sodas. Does anyone know what a dirty soda is? I've never heard of this. But they're apparently coming to Brentwood, Tennessee, and the people of Brentwood are excited about it, if you go and look at this example. So how can you start thinking about ways to build hype? Number 4, exclusive access. So this is my friend, Chris Orzechowski. He has something called Write Yourself Rich. It's a course, and he was coming out with something brand new. And so he went to his audience, he went to the people that had bought from him before, and he offered them an exclusive bonus and first dibs of getting in. If you think about that story I told you about Taylor Swift earlier, Taylor Swift essentially did the same thing, right? She just went and said, hey, if you're on this special list, you're going to be the first to know. So this could be either having people sign up for things like waitlists, it could be where you're going and reaching out to previous clients and customers, but start thinking about how you can start segmenting your audience to make them feel like the VIPs that they are, and start getting things to them ahead of time, with exclusive access. Okay, strategy number 5, behind the scenes. This is Jen Hatmaker. She is an author, and she has a new book coming out. And this book is coming out, and this is something that we should touch on real quick, because a question I get is, how long? Like, how long do I need to build anticipation for? It's a great question. I'm going to give you the answer that every marketer hates, so I'm sorry ahead of time, which is, it depends. Like, it depends. If we look at Jen Hatmaker here, she's talking about a book that's coming out in September, and this screenshot is from February. She's talking about this 9 months ahead of time for something that's going to cost less than $20. But I've had people that I've worked with, I have one person in particular, he only had 2 weeks for us to get his course launch together and do a pre-launch for him. And we did great. We blew his launch out of the water with only 2 weeks. So it just kind of depends. So what you have to think about is, how warm is your audience? What is the complexity of the market? What time of year it is, right? What is the price? What is the time investment? And thinking about how you can prep and start testing out some of these strategies that we're talking about, and then you can reiterate over time. So here on strategy number 5, with behind the scenes, all Jen is doing is just simply documenting what it looked like for her while she was writing the book. So the best part about doing behind the scenes content is that you're simply documenting what's coming up, which once again is a way of talking about your products or service without trying to quote unquote sell it, but it also gives you easy content to create. So how can you start thinking about what behind the scenes content should I be creating? Okay, strategy number 6. This one's super fun, which is play the guessing game, right? We're curious people. We want to know what other people are up to, what other people are saying. So here Starbucks is just asking you, hey, guess what's the spring drink that's coming up? What can you do in your business where you can get people guessing? All right, the second essential ingredient when it comes to anticipation marketing is curiosity. And I've heard a lot of people talking about curiosity over the last couple days, and I'm like, yes, because curiosity is so incredibly important in our marketing, especially right now. We're going to talk about why. But curiosity hooks them in, keeps them engaged, keeps them wanting more. Now, I'm going to get a little nerdy on here with you for a second, because I love the tactical parts of marketing and the strategy, but I always want to know, like, why does this work? Well, there's something called the information gap theory, and this is where there's a gap between what we want to know and, what we know and what we want to know. When this happens, our brain feels deprived and actively seeks out missing information. And our curiosity is triggered and makes us want to close the loop. So what happens if I said, like, hey, Emily, my friend Emily's in the front row, hey, Emily, did you hear what happened to Michael Stelzner yesterday? I'm sure she'd be like, well, what? Like, what happened, right? We all would be. By the way, this is how rumors and gossip get started. Nothing happened to Michael yesterday. But we're naturally curious. And I bet you if I was like, oh, I got to run, Emily, I can't tell you right now. When she saw me later, she'd be like, hey, what happened? Like, actually, this happened with Emily and I this week. Like, she started to tell me a story, and we got interrupted, and I was like, wait, what were you going to tell me? So people want to know. And if we think about it, every movie and every TV series that has multiple seasons, it always ends on a cliffhanger. And why does it do that? Because of the information gap theory. They know if they can create some curiosity, our brain has to know what's going to happen. We have to figure out what's going to happen. It's why when I'm sitting and watching Netflix sometimes, and I'm like, I'm done when this show's over, and then there'll be a little the ending will happen, and I'll be like, oh, I want to know. I want to know what happens. And I'll start to watch the first 10 minutes of the next, just so I can see what happened at that time. That's because of the information gap, and you can use this in your marketing. The result that happens when you start using more curiosity, you start to stand out. You start to stand out because people want a resolution, and you actually remember there's something else called the Zeigarnik effect, my nerdiness coming out again. You actually remember things better that are unresolved than things that are resolved. It creates more emotional connection. Because of that gap that is there, we want to know, we want a resolution, so we will stay more emotionally engaged in a brand. And I'm actually going to show you a great example of this in just a moment. You get more engagement, more interaction, which is something I'm sure that we all want, and we'll even buy at points to be able to close the loop. If you think about a movie, every movie trailer that comes out is a story that creates these little gaps. And when we go, we want to know what's going to happen in that movie. We'll go buy a ticket. Okay, the biggest mistake when it comes to curiosity, people just give it away too quick. And they're not opening enough loops. I had a friend recently who was coming out with a brand new course, and she's like, oh, I got the sales page done, so I'm going to just start selling it. And I was like, whoa, let's pump the brakes. How can we build some buzz and some curiosity before we start selling? Okay, strategy number 7, the anticipation sequence. So how can you just start creating little mini sequences? Shannon McKinstry's here. She does a beautiful job of this, where she's creating multi-day sequences. This is Belinda Weaver with Copyright Matters. She was coming up on a launch, and she was using this, because when someone lands on a multi-day sequence, what ends up happening is, let's say you land on day 3. You're going to go back, if you're interested in the content, you're going to go back and binge days 1 and 2. And when you see her again, you're going to want to figure out days 4 and 5 because of this curiosity gap. Strategy number 8, the ultimate tease. So this was a little bit earlier. Sarah Blakely, she owns Spanx, or used to own Spanx. This is a video with her and her husband, Jesse Itzler. She was coming out with a new product, and she's teasing us with the details. And you see her husband seeing the product for the first time, but we can't see what it is. And so everyone was talking. All of these comments in here are like, wait, what is it? What is she selling? So she was teasing us before that product was available, which got people more curious as to what it was, and got people coming and making sure that the day it dropped, they knew what it was going to be. Strategy number 9, the slow reveal. So with the slow reveal, this is my friend Shelby Claymont, Damn Good Marketing Live. She found out, this is an event, a conference. She found out that she was going to get a fantastic keynote speaker. And instead of, what she could have done is she could have went to Instagram stories and been like, oh my gosh, guess who's coming to the conference? But she didn't, because she knew that creating that bit of curiosity would keep people leaning in and wanting to know more. Okay, we're going to talk, so a lot of the examples I've given you around curiosity here, these are very, I say overt. They're like in your face. But let's talk about covert curiosity, because this is what's often skipped when it comes to using curiosity and anticipation, and it's super important. Now, if you might want to take a picture of this, because for every product or offer that you have, you should be creating and finishing this statement, which is, for someone to buy from me, they have to believe. And with covert curiosity, we're not selling the product, the service, the event, whatever it is. We're we're selling the idea behind whatever that is. So I mentioned Shannon McKinstry already. She has an incredible membership called the Reels Lab, or subscription, I should say, where she shows you how to create reels that are simple, easy, that you can get out. It's an amazing membership. But on the surface, no one wants the Reels Lab. Sorry, Shannon. No one wants the Reels Lab. Right? What they want is they want the outcome of what the Reels Lab gives them, which is those things that I just mentioned. So these are, Judy is somewhere here at Social Media Marketing World. I took this from the Facebook. Judy, this is what her buyer's belief statement is. For someone to buy from me, I'm sorry, I should have said, Judy is a veterinary marketing company. So her buyer's belief statement is, for someone to buy from me, the vet office has to believe that outsourcing content creation and digital strategy is the way to get new patients in the door. If Judy doesn't sell people on that concept, it doesn't matter about if she has a fantastic 6-month social media package, right? I don't know Judy personally. I don't know what her packages are. She has to first get people bought in on the fact that they're going to get more customers and more new patients if they outsource their digital strategy. Another person, Samantha, social media, she does social media for game nights at restaurants. Her buyer's belief statement is, for someone to buy from me, the restaurant has to believe that having more game nights is the best way to get a steady stream of new customers. Once again, for someone to buy Samantha's game night social media, right, for whatever it is, they have to first believe that before they're ever interested in her offer. So with covert curiosity, I'm going to give you 3 strategies really quickly to help you start to do this in your business. So the first strategy is busting myths. So there is a lot of preconceived notions, ideas that we have. We have myths that we believe about ourselves, about our industry, about whatever niche that we're in. So you have to bust a few myths before someone's ready to buy from you. So this is Dr. Michelle Mazer. She has a podcast called Make Marketing Suck Less, which she helps experts with their messaging and their marketing. And she noticed that her experts thought that for someone to buy from her, or for someone to buy from them, that they have to do more marketing. And that's not the case. She actually shows people how to do less marketing. So she did a podcast episode where she was busting this myth ahead of time, well before they saw her offer for the Expert Up Club. Okay, strategy 11 is handling hesitations. So this is Self-Made Sales, Julie Cabezas and Chris Kenny. They help people do high-ticket sales. But one of the hesitations their people have before they buy from them is that they feel like if they raise their prices and sell high-ticket packages, that they're going to be seen as too expensive. So what ends up happening here in this post is that Julie is actually handling that hesitation, saying it actually has nothing to do with how much you charge that's making you look expensive. It's how you are selling. And the way this starts to create an open loop is because when that hesitation is dealt with, the next natural question someone has is, well, how? How do I sell high ticket in a way that doesn't make me feel like I'm too expensive? And the answer of that is, of course, in her offer, in her course. Okay, strategy number 12, you need to show transformation. So with transformation, this is a really simple post where Susan Rioch, she is a website, she helps businesses write websites that are really backed by UX. And with this, Susan simply just was saying, she knows that her people want to make more money, as we all do, but her people want more flexibility. So she did a simple reel talking about how they could get this transformation in their lives. Here's one from me. I help people pre-sell out and try and sell out their launches before they officially ever open their doors. And here I had a client who actually sold out and didn't have to launch her product or service. And so she sent this to me a couple of weeks ago. So I just took a screenshot and threw it on Instagram stories because I know the transformation that my person wants is to sell a lot more easily and start getting more sales before they actually have to do a stressful, heavy launch. So we've gone over now 12 examples of how you can use Countdown, Curiosity, but the last one up is customization. Customization is, it's where you do, and this is where you're going to get ready to like tune out from what I'm talking about. So I want you to stick with me. This is where the eye rolls come in. This is where you want to do market research and voice of customer research. And I know, and don't hate me for saying this, but when I say this, you're going to go, well, Brenna, we already do market research. Like, we've already do this in our business. But I've been behind the doors of enough businesses to know that, like, we think we've done this. Like, we did market research maybe a year ago, 2 years ago. We had the ideal client avatar, but we're not in constant communication with our audience. So if you have not done market research, if you've not done voice of customer research, I would say, especially in the market that we're in the last several months, this is one of the most important and foundational things that you could do for your business. So my husband and I, we've been married for 27 years. And a couple of weeks ago, he told me a story that he had never told me before. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've been with this guy for almost 3 decades, right? Like, how did I get this old? But I've been with this guy for this long, and he just told me something new about him. And this goes with your audience. You can never get to know your audience better. You can always be learning something new and be implementing. And what happens a lot, when it comes down to Countdown and Curiosity, it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to build the buzz. I'm going to build the hype. But if you don't add this customization piece behind it, this is why people go viral and never make a sale off of it, right? Because they haven't thought clearly enough about who they're talking to. Now, how do you do this? Well, the first thing is surveys, polls, I love. The second thing is to have real conversations. Now, what I see a lot, and a big mistake I see right now, is people want to use AI, which, by the way, I know we're at like a partial like AI conference. I love AI, but they want to use it to do their market research. And if you don't believe me, like, go ask ChatGPT why you shouldn't allow it to do all of your market research. It will spit out like 12 reasons for you. Don't lose having real conversation, Zoom, Voxer, in person, and really taking the opportunity to ask people questions. And when you start thinking about the myths that you need to bust, the hesitations, you can start asking people deeper questions that will define your marketing and give you your marketing strategy. The other thing here is I want you to talk to those who have bought and those who have not bought yet. Another mistake I see is that people want to talk to their current clients or customers. But the problem with those people, which are great that they bought from us, but they've already gotten some of our transformation. They've already experienced some of it. So you want to go talk to the people that are hesitant, right? If we want to think about covert curiosity, we need to bust myths. We need to handle hesitations. We need to show transformation. And we need to think about it through the person, most likely, that has not bought from us yet, thinking through like the lens of how they're seeing you and your offer. Now, a few quick questions that you should ask is, tell me about what you're experiencing right now. What has stopped you from solving this problem in the past? That will help you define those hesitations, those myths that they have. What would your life look like if you solved this problem? That's going to kind of give you an idea of what the transformation is. And I actually have a resource for you to help you with this at the end. Okay, we've talked about countdown, we've talked about curiosity, we've talked about customization and how all of these three things work together to help you. But you're probably like, okay, this is a lot of information. What do I do now? I hear you. Okay, all right, is anyone up for a little bit of challenge? All right, so take a picture of this right now. Here are the 12 different strategies that I gave you today. I want you this is the big challenge because I know we're busy, but in the next 24 hours, I simply just want you to do one of these things. And I want you to tag me at Brenna McGowan Co. If you're on Instagram, Brenna McGowan at LinkedIn. And this is simple, like don't overthink this. You could be like, hey, you could take a selfie right now. I'm at Social Media Marketing World thinking about whatever that thing is down the line, right? Make this simple and start getting it out here. And if you tag me, I will reshare you with my audience, which is a great way to build hype, right? Get someone else helping you build some hype ahead of time. Secondly, I want you to start to see curiosity and countdown out in the wild. Now that we've talked about this, you're going to start to see this a little bit of everywhere. And if you see it, take a screenshot and send it to me. I want to nerd out with you, and I would love to hear from you. And, okay, so what I have is a free resource for you. If you go to this QR code, I'm like Gen X, so this is like super fancy for me. But go ahead, take this. What I have done for you is I am giving you a template for a survey that I make every one of my clients and customers send out to their email list. I also have a template for the email that you send out. And on top of it, I pulled out of my program all of those market research questions. There's like 30 of them. You don't have to use all of them. But you could go through and pick and choose and start doing this customer research that we talked about because it's foundational. It's not only going to help you with anticipation marketing, it's going to help you with your regular marketing. It's going to help you with your website. It's going to help you with your sales pages. It's going to help you develop new offers. So go and make sure you grab those questions. And what I want to leave you here as we're kind of wrapping up today, as I was really thinking about it, it's like, yes, we've talked about anticipation marketing, and we were talking about how to create desire that drives sales. But in the end, and when we started this conversation today, I was in the airport, I was frantically waiting. And by the way, I did make my flight that day. And also, I did get TSA pre-checked. I was very, very much happy about that. But what I'm most excited about this moment is that I'm actually getting ready to take a trip to New Jersey. It's my home state, and my girls and I love going back there, and my whole family. But right now, my son is 22, my daughters are 19 and 17. They're not with me, for some reason. I feel like parenting is cruel. By the time you actually like hanging out with your kids all the time, then they start trying to move away and be gone with their friends. So right now, I don't get to spend a lot of time with them. I could almost cry just thinking about it. And we are taking this trip to New Jersey, and the girls and I have been talking about what family we're going to go see. We've been talking about how we're going to go to the beach, how we're going to go to the shore. We've been talking about the pizza we're going to eat, because if you're from the East Coast, you think California pizza is terrible. So we're really excited, and it's the anticipation that's truly the gift here, right? We haven't taken the trip yet, but here we're so excited about what's coming up. And that's the thing. Most of our people, we're always looking forward to something. I think if we paused right here and I said, like, what are you doing this weekend? You'd be looking forward to something, right? Like, what are you doing this summer with your family? We all have something that we look forward to. And this is really the gift that you can give your clients and customers, because the memories that you make, the relationships that you build, as you are doing all of this anticipation that we have talked about today, those are the things that your clients and customers might remember for years to come, not just the sale of your product or service. So thank you so much. I think we might have time for a question, or are we good?
We actually have time for a question. Who has a question and would like to? That was just fast. That you didn't even wait to the anticipation. Let's go. Brenda, that was so good. That was amazing. You have me on the edge of my seat.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry. This isn't a question, but the URL isn't working, and I'm wondering, is it because it's at .com? Are you .com or
No,
you
I'm
.co?
.co.
Okay, and I'm kind of eavesdropped or looked at other people's phones, and I saw the same error.
Is it the QR code's not
Yeah,
working?
the QR code. Is anybody else getting this error? Okay.
Okay, well,
Sorry.
of course I'd have a technical issue.
That
so
was probably the anticipation that you wanted created.
I
Question?
want
Anybody
to
else have a
keep you
question?
on the edge of your seat. So do me a favor. Go ahead. You have my contact information. I'm Brenna McGowan Co. Send me a message, and I will check in with my tech person as soon as we are done, and we'll be happy to get this for you. So just send me a message or an email, and I will get that to you ASAP.
Hi, I work for a company that does social media marketing for a lot of different small businesses in New Orleans, but many of them are wedding vendors. So how can you kind of translate this to some, like, anticipation, like, you're going to get married, we want you to come look at our venue, how can you kind of translate this?
Yeah, so maybe if you have your venue, right, like, can you tease something about what's coming up? Can you tease a wedding of what was there? Can you show a wedding of what it was going to look like in the future? So I would just go through it with a different lens of how can we build buzz around what's currently happening? How can we show the transformation of what the bride wants, right? Because think about they want if I'm a bride, I'm thinking about, I want to be able to show up to a venue and not be stressed. I want to know that everything is ready for me. Maybe maybe there's some myths in New Orleans that it's going to be too hard for my people to come and actually get to my wedding venue or get to the wedding place when I'm there. So I would go through, I know with those 12 strategies that I mentioned, so I would go through each one and just start thinking, how can we creatively think about how we can shift the way that we're talking about it to kind of get people in that line of thinking. By the way, I also think BrennaMcGowan.co/SMMW, you would be able to also, that's the direct link without the QR code.
So you gave us 12 really awesome opportunities to build anticipation. How do you mix and match? Like, how many of those would you put into one recipe?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say, once again, I'm going to give you that. I was going to say, you're going to give the question. It's just, I think it depends. I think you don't have to use all of them. So if we take a look at, like, Jen Hatmaker, right? The one that she did, she is building anticipation. She's also creating some curiosity and some open loops. So I would say to take them and kind of put them in, you can even, like, throw them into ChatGPT and say, hey, this is what I'm getting ready to do. Like, go through it this lens and give me a mix and match. So I don't think that there's, like, a perfect, inside my program, we have a little bit more, like, framework and structure. But if you're just trying to go out and do this, I would say you can never build too much countdown. You can never have too much curiosity. Well, I lie. I do think you can have a little bit too much curiosity. I think you have to think about your customer and client and where you're taking them, because sometimes people will try and drag out curiosity, and you also have to be careful that you don't lose, like, steam behind what you're doing.
Brenna, what you have done so well. Will the audience agree with me that anticipation could be a game changer for your business? Really? So if that's the case, join me and give Brenna a round of applause. You did an amazing job. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate you, Brenna. That was off the chain. And remember, Brenna will greet you. She will meet you back there, behind those curtains. Not up here, not over there. Back there. Everybody, our next session will start, I think, in 30 minutes, give or take, I believe. My name is Ramon Ray. Glad to have you here. Definitely fill out the evaluation. And let's get ready for 2 more amazing sessions. And definitely see Brenna back there behind the curtains. And I'm glad you're all here. Fill out the evaluation. See you at Anaheim 2026. Don't forget to check out our sponsors. We got a few more hours to go as we serve you at Social Media Marketing World 2025. Thanks for being here, everybody.